Hi, and welcome to Bridging the Gap on television. I'm Ian Hansen, along with intuitive medium and spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett. Brenda, on this edition of Bridging the Gap on TV, we're going to be talking about animals again and bridging the gap between, again, humans and the animal kingdom in a very specific way.
I think that some of the questions I've been getting lately are, how responsible are we for their life and death, and what do we do? Exactly what is our role?
Okay, so again, we'll talk about our role as far as animals of the domesticated variety are concerned. I imagine we'll talk about a few other kinds of animals that are out there. I have a very interesting tie-in to this subject that's been going on at my domicile lately as well. And we've actually got a question that we'll lead off with today. Do two questions for you here on Bridging the Gap. One to lead, that'll get us into this topic, and then one to finish. If you want to get questions to Brenda, get your own answers. That's how it works. Isn't that cool? You take the time, you write the questions to Brenda, she woojie-woogies it, and you get your own answers, and learn maybe how to in the future too by watching Bridging the Gap. So get those questions to Brenda. You can do that at our website. You're watching right now. There may be bridgingthegaptv.com, bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. Same website, two different ways to get there. Bridging the Gap on TV, that's where you go on YouTube. Okay, now we'll lead with that question, Brenda, as we get into animals and the human role as far as they are concerned today, and the power that we really have over them. Because again, as far as one good book goes anyway, we have been given dominion over them, and really there's no doubting that, I guess, because we do have the power to kill them, to manipulate them, chain them up, pen them, use them for food, ride them, show them, groom them, the whole 9 yards, and we do that stuff.
We do that, we do. And you are sort of you are guided yourself on how you're going to treat an animal. I've seen people who are not bad people that are really unthinking, thoughtless people when it comes to their pets. And then I've seen people who are just obnoxious as can be, and they're the ones that will bend down and help a spider across the sidewalk or adopt. Me too.
That would be me.
Yeah. Or adopt a kitten that needs a home. So there's really no clear-cut way to judge what a person's going to do with an animal or not. It's not easy to even figure out what it is they're supposed to be doing. Let's just take care of what we do, and then the whole world will benefit from that. And don't forget that you are the keeper of your earth and animals, and when you take care of that sort of thing, everybody benefits, including you.
Yeah, this should be an interesting topic for us to explore, because there's one really, as I can see it at least, gigantic compartment of this that we're going to wander around in for a while, as far as finding our own place is concerned, and also maybe identifying where other people are at, and maybe getting more comfortable with where we're at, or changing that if we want to, have the desire to. So, speaking of animals, we've got a few upstairs.
There's our babies.
We actually filmed this in the basement of a little, like, Yorkshire Terrier farm. So, no, those are Brenda's dogs. There's
rat
four
terriers.
of them all together? Rat terriers, all of them?
There's four. Well, close enough to rat terriers.
Pied Piper wanted too much, she got 4 rat terriers instead, so I guess they've driven them all out. Brenda, let's lead with that question that we got, that it was, again, our inspiration in part for why we're going to talk about the subject we are today, which is bridging the gap between the animal kingdom and this one yet again, the human one that is, and really talking more about the treatment of animals and where they fit in as far as our manipulating of them is concerned. I can't think of a better word, so you'll have to deal with that. The question that has come in is one of a local variety from here in our home state, and it says, I have a very sick animal that I've had for many years, and I'm wondering if I should put it down or not. It's a very difficult decision, and I really don't want to make it because I'm not sure what the right answer is. Should I allow this animal to go on living until it naturally dies, or should I intervene and euthanize it? And again, that question comes in with autonomy, and we appreciate that, or it comes in with anonymity, excuse me, autonomy as well. She is not here, or this person is not here. So Brenda, where are we going?
That's such a personal thing, and they're saying that this little creature will probably need your assistance in passing. A lot of pain involved, and a lot of discomfort, a lot of whatever. And if you're not comfortable doing this, then don't. I've done it myself, and I usually wait too long. And in this particular case, let's answer the question because I'm getting a definite, the dog will need to have your assistance in passing. There are some very painful things going on in the lower part of the body, the hips, and very uncomfortable, very, very sick little dog. It'll be your choice, of course, and you'll make the right choice. There is no right, there is no wrong with this. It is what it is.
Always a hard choice, and it's one that I have faced several times, I know, in my life, Brenda, with a domestic animal, cats in each instance, actually. Each time, I guess I made the decision, as far as a couple, me and my wife were concerned, made the decision to let them expire naturally, and you look back and doubt that, but there's really no reason to do that at the time. The animal's gone, and I know that one of those two animals, at least, has come to me since then in a dream and said, it's okay.
That's okay.
Don't worry about it.
Right. I remember 2 years ago now having Casey, my yellow lab, put down, and it's always a horrible time for me. I just am a mess. And the vet, who was really wonderful, came to the house and had it done. She was laying on her favorite blanket, and I was right there with her. And I, of course, was blubbering like I always do. And I said to the vet, why can't they just die? Why do I have to do this? And his answer was, this has just made a lot of sense to me. He said, we keep these animals alive a lot longer than they were ever intended to be alive. And if they were in the wild, they would have been gone a long time ago. This dog was like 13. And we keep them alive. Everything fails on their eyesight, their hearing, their bladder in her case, digestive, and they're miserable. And then we have the choice of watching them suffer and keeping them alive, or we have the choice of saying, what do you want? And they'll tell you. They will tell you. They just will know when you look in their eye that it's okay. They aren't afraid of death. Death is, to them it's a passing of energy, and they're gone, they're back. They don't do what we do. It's not so important to live forever in their mind. It's not important at all. We're gone. And they do come back. They do come back. And they'll visit with you. And you'll see them in another animal. You'll know by the look. I always know when I look in their eyes that this is Maggie back, or this is Casey back, and here, we can be in your life again. So that's the way I see it, and that's what comes through.
Wow, it's really powerful stuff, and again, I think this is where we're going to wander around, as I said, for the most part today, is the fact that we are stuck being human, and that's a wonderful thing, by the way, too, so don't get me wrong on that point, but our want to sort of cast that on everything else in our world is definitely there, and when we talk about a subject like the question that was written in, how long do I prolong my domestic animal's life, we are doing that as a selfish desire, no doubt. We enjoy having this animal here. We can keep them around, and we're going to. And in a way, we won't explore this today, but we may do that with relatives too, that we plug in machinery and keep alive with a feeding tube year after year after year. If there's an insurance agent that's willing to make the payments to it, or if there's a company, that gets a little bit different territory. But Brenda, that seems to be the one crux of this whole discussion, is the fact that we are human, they are animals. Story that I'll tell that links into that's been going on lately, that I think ties in wonderfully here, is we have a very large light fixture on our porch. It's got these gargoyles around the top of it. My wife loves that kind of stuff. And it's large enough to accommodate a bird's nest. So a little mother finch made a little nest up there in the springtime and has had some little chicks up there. And I've just loved watching her build the nest, and it's just great. We welcome her. It's not doing any harm to the light fixture. She's in no danger, so we're good. But the chicks are getting old enough now that there's 4 of them, and we see them, and they're just ugly and gross, when they're that bird
like babies.
So yeah, and they're sticking, feed me, put anything in there, it's one of those things. And they've gotten so large with the 4 of them there that I think they've literally displaced her from the nest. There is no room for her there. So she disappears for larger stretches at a time every single day. And it worries me because I've become very attached to her, and especially to the chicks that she had, because they're like family. I mean, after all, she built her nest. That's my address, apartment A, because she built a little nest there and we have a little family there. The animal world, Brenda, is harsh, and I keep thinking about, well, if she landed in the garden and a snake chowed her down, the babies die because they don't have any way to get fed, and that's it. And there are other finch babies in the world, and they'll hatch into female ones that have chicks of their own, and on we go. So I can't cast my human tendencies onto this whole equation and worry about it day and night, because I was getting concerned. She's around, by the way, and she's fine, but she's just roosting somewhere else. And so this is one example of how we can do that from a perspective of someone who might care maybe a little too much about the wild animals that are around them. So is this a good place for us to start, or is that just weird for me?
It's not weird at all. It's you are a very tender, kind person, and you're totally appreciative of these creatures. But it also is a really good way to see that things are the way they're supposed to be. Are you sad if the mom gets eaten by a snake? Of course, you're human. But does it make a bit of difference in the long run, after these animals or birds have done what they're supposed to do? No, they're back. They'll come back. They're energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, which I say a lot. And they are what they are. Be sad if you want to, but know that in nature's way, that's what happens with all of us.
And there seems to be a real stigma attached to Brenda. And again, I'm not sure whether this gets into the territory that we wanted to explore today too much or not, but there is a tendency to feel not as bad when a snake or a poisonous spider or something that might actually take you down, if it had the chance to, bites the dust, as opposed to something that's cute and cuddly and fluffy, which we tend to, in general, identify with more as having a need here, a requirement. Well, ask farmers in Texas about too many rabbits or something like that, or
killing the wolves, or
yeah,
shooting deer. It just is so what it is. It's an individual thing. If you're shooting a deer to feed your family, or you're just shooting it to mount its head on your wall, if it's not wrong to you, then it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Does the animal give a darn? No. Once they leave this life, they're gone. I watched a deer being hit by a car, and it was going across the concrete barrier, and I saw its eyes, and it was gone. It was gone. I couldn't even be sad. It was gone on impact. And it wasn't, but will they fight and struggle to stay alive? Of course. But I had a real peace about that deer. That was the contract that deer had, and it wasn't going to, its parents were not going to cry or worry about it. The gal who hit it had consequences and nightmares and whatever, but the deer itself was fine.
Oh. Okay, well, these are wild animals that we've sort of started talking about, and again, getting back into the domesticated camp once more, Brenda, that's where maybe more control resides as far as humanity is concerned, and their link with animals. Again, people do go out in the woods with high caliber weapons, by the way, too. You need AK-47s and rocket launchers, apparently, to shoot elk some places, because guys just get into these weapons. And it's not my thing, but as a professional working in television before, I have done hunting segments and features where the guy comes in with camel pants and knives dangling off everything, and you work with it because you realize there are people who appreciate that, and you have to try and get out of your own comfort zone enough to say that, hey, this means something to them just like it would to you, to have a little pond full of goslings or something cute like that. So you have to try and, again, see things a little different way. Empathy, I think, is going to get you a long way on this road to understanding both camps. But again, back on the domesticated side, Brenda, what are we to do with our animals? We talked about this a little bit the first time that we talked about the animal kingdom just a few episodes ago. So some people dress up their little dogs, and some people feed them human food and do all kinds of things. They really do humanize their animals. Others, as you said, they might even neglect their dogs or cats in some ways. So why do we have them around? What is their purpose?
There's as many different answers as that as there are personalities and breeds of animals. And is it right, is it wrong? When we stop and go the judgment route, we're here to learn our own things. We're here to remember what we're here for. Do we stop and protect things that needed protecting? You're talking about someone who will rip someone's head off verbally if I see him abuse an animal, and not always in a very smart way. Can we change it all? We can do everything we can to make the planet a better place for him. We can do everything that comes into our circle that we can make a difference. I watched a animal being euthanized. It was a commercial. It was for the Humane Society, and I told the person insisting I watch it, this does not benefit me. It does not change my feelings one way or the other. I choose not to watch anything like that going on because I don't, it stays with me. But show me something I can do. Show you something you can do. And we'll do it. But if you take the time to judge on a permanent basis, you hate this person because of what they do, you're losing what we're here for. The animal, I've worked with abused animals, and the only thing they really want to know, or the main thing they want to know is, are you going to be here for me? Are you going to take care of me? It's not talk about the abuser or what happened, although they will answer that if you ask them. But it's where am I going to be? Are you going to be there for me? So almost 100% of the time, that's the most important thing in their mind, is are you going to be here for me? And if you're not going to be here for me, I'm ready to go.
It's just interesting to think of the ways that we can look at this. And I know, Brenda, it seems to me like whenever I've seen people abusing animals or known people who have done that, their appreciation for life outside of themselves generally ties very much to what they feel about their own existence here in some ways, at least in an analytical way.
Exactly. And if you see someone who really can't be kind to everything, then there's something that they need to figure out.
Here's another way I think you might be able to look at it, expansively speaking. We'll turn this around, because typically we're going to think about, well, I want to open the mind of the hunter. Well, I don't think you're going to have a lot of luck doing that, because they really do enjoy running around in the woods and getting behind trees and picking things off.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it this way. A lot of times the argument from someone who really appreciates all life, Brenda, and I believe that we should, because after all, you are part of the same existence that all of those creatures, great and small, are.
Exactly.
The people who go around and squash spiders whenever they see them, and bees. Why are so many people afraid of bees? I can't stand that one. That one drives me nuts. People just, oh, kill the bees, kill the bees. Kill everything! You know, as long as it's not my McDonald's hamburger. Well, it's dead too, just to let you know. So I don't think we're going to have a lot of luck doing that. So how about changing your attitude around? And again, this could be, ooh, why would you say that? That's sort of weird and dangerous. But this is what I did once, because I thought, rather than try and change that person's mind, why don't I change it and say, you know, you see somebody break the neck of a chicken and toss it over their shoulder and move on with the rest of your day. That happens in certain parts of the world.
It does.
It's a morning thing. Ah, there, that's done. McNugget time. So I'm doing a lot of plugs for McDonald's for some reason. I don't like that. Why not look at that to say, gosh, it's so great that life is so abundant that we've got more chickens. I mean, I don't know. Is that crazy to insinuate, Brenda, to turn that around and say, because I definitely want to embrace life and I want to appreciate it in all of its forms. I mean, I'm the sissy boy that has the butterfly in his hands at the park, and you'll see me, oh, look at that guy. But a lot of people don't see it that way, and I have to live with that. I have to feel okay about living with them and not hating them or resenting them. So that's one way I can do it, is to say, thank you, life, for being so abundant that there's more.
If that works for you,
it does.
What you do. And if you can't deal with it, don't watch. Avoid.
See, but you're going to get a lot of just the opposite from a lot of people saying, no, the worst thing you can do is ignore the problem because we've got to save this, we've got to save that.
If it comes into your world and there's something you can do about it, and you know you're supposed to do it, then you better think about maybe making some choices about doing it. If you're so upset by something that you see how you can change it. See how you can change it by your attitude, number one, or figuring out a way to stop it. But are you going to accomplish anything by internalizing it and becoming crazy? No. And I've done that.
I have a family member who's done that, and I had a lot of fun messing with him when he was going through that, because at one time in his life, his house, this is before he had human children, by the way, and then all this changed, believe me. Oh yeah, they went baby nuts at that point. But before that, Shuffy wants to have another one behind the camera, so he's giving me that look like, don't you pick on them babies now. I don't have any and don't want any, so ladies, quit writing me the letters, okay? Love child is not in the bag for me, so. He decided at one time there were cats all over his house. He loved them. They treated them like their own kids, which was great. It was kind of fun, actually. Mm-hmm. And they went full bore with this and said, killing anything is wrong, and we're not eating any more meat. And they stopped. So they stopped eating steak, chicken, fish, nothing that was meat. And then Ian comes to visit one time. And he shook things up a little bit because they'd given me this big speech about, well, we don't eat that anymore, and we're in this big righteous bubble that I see going up everywhere. And I say, well, what do you feed the cats? And they said, well, they eat cat food. And, well, what's the cat food made of? And I think I was shown the door and sent home, and I see you, get out of here. So really bugged them. Mm-hmm. But there again, Brenda, it's going to be difficult for you to go through all the channels. And I know what was going on, and I really felt for him. He felt bad because he's here and he's consuming. And if you're a human being, especially in the Western world, and you're living in the 21st century, you are consuming things from this planet, and it's okay.
But that's what they're here for. That's
what else would you do?
Right. And it's a personal choice. I'm not ambitious enough to be a total vegetarian, because I'd have to cook for myself and think, and I don't. So I eat meat occasionally. And anything done in moderation, I think maybe might be worth looking into.
Well, I just think this is one of those areas, Brenda, where we have a tendency to feel like if we just recognize the fact that something might be wrong, that suddenly we're above a whole pile of people that haven't seen that yet. When the Gulf oil spill was going on a few years ago, I was in Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida. I saw those beaches. Fortunately, they didn't come to my favorite ones, which are in Florida, actually. But the other ones, they were closed down. We saw the tar balls. I mean, we were part of it when it was going on. And you wouldn't believe how many people I heard talk about, oh, it's horrible and a bad thing, and I this and I that, and I wouldn't do this. And I think, do you know how much of those petrochemical products that come from that very oil that you use every day? Exactly. I mean, you're not going to really escape it unless, as I say, go loincloth, which is you just strip it all off and run around in the woods and eat berries and twigs. And it's hard, Brenda, and I hate to see people feeling bad about that. I want them to feel better about that, because I see them either feeling really bad or really righteous, and to me, again, you'll say something like, if that works for them, that's great, but I want to...
Feeling righteous, I don't see how it can work for anyone. But if it works for you, more power to you.
Or just enough.
Yeah, if we all are here to figure out what works for us. And when it really works for us and we feel good about everybody around us benefits, I will do anything I can short of giving up my gasoline and my cars. And that's just honest.
But to me, I think that's exactly where we need to be. Because that's an argument that I got into with so many people during the time of that event and at other times as well. I know here where we're from, there was a debate over an owl for a number of years that is endangered. Yes, and it cost many loggers and people within that industry their jobs because the federal government decided to protect these lands so they couldn't log or do logging related activities within them. Well, you know, there's the thing. If you're not a logger and you're not being directly affected by this, you're going to say, well, good for the owls, they're winning one. But think about what you do as a secretary in a law firm, or as a greengrocer, or as, I don't know, whatever it is that you do, take it home and say, you know, your boss says, puts the owl down and it's looking at you, blink, blink, and you say, oh, owls, I love them. Yes, and it just cost you your job. Pick up your last check, you're done. That's going to resonate differently with you. So when it really starts to roost, pun fully intended, by the way, at home, owls don't roost, by the way, they're not trying. But when it comes home to roost like that, you know, that's when I think the hard questions are there. So again, during the Gulf oil thing, I was right there bugging people with this because, again, it's so wrong, it's so bad. Well, are you going to give up gasoline in your car every day because of this pelican or that pelican? None of us like to see it. None of us do. I'm not standing up for big oil, but I use it and I enjoy it. And I can't necessarily say anything but. I also enjoy the sea life that's in the Gulf. It's a magical place. So Brenda, it's just tough right now.
It's as tough as you want to make it, and what can you do to change it? Ask, and do whatever it is that feels good for you, and you know is something you can change. If you get some involved and go get them, kill them, do some, I just absolutely cannot stand these people on the street corners going, big government. Hey, we are big government, we're government. That's what that's what it is. What do you want us to do? Start, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, use some common sense, but don't buy into the conflict thing and the conspiracy thing, because nothing gets done. If there's something you do to change it, change it. Otherwise, shut up.
You have spent some time in county government. I have spent some time within county and now state government as of recently, and I can tell you with absolute assurity, ladies and gentlemen, even though I've never penetrated the federal government and never hope to, I don't think they're smart enough to pull off a conspiracy of any length or brevity. So
yeah, there's just a lot of uncaring people who are, whatever. It is what it is.
All right. Well, we're not going there.
No,
instead, on Bridging the Gap on TV this time around, we went a different route, which was connecting with our animal friends once again. And if they are friends to you, and again, there's any assortment of things, Brenda. We love our cats and dogs. We dress them up like superheroes on Halloween, and we take them around the neighborhood and make them think they're getting candy, but we take it away at the last minute because it's bad for their teeth.
Well,
you should do that to your kids. It's hilarious too. So we do that, and yet we put steaks on the table twice a week, and we enjoy a good hunting round every now and then. Whatever works for you is working.
It is. And if it isn't working, you'll hear about it. You'll know.
And you'll change it.
Your guides, if you really want answers, they're there.
When you get more into the ability to channel, which I know that is something you may be working on for us all to benefit from, we got to get Steve Irwin to come through for just a little while, because that question, in all seriousness, has been asked so many times by people since he got it in the heart from a stingray, because people were very torn about him. He'd run around, and I didn't like it either, handle those gators and turn them over and flip them around and grab the jaws and look at this, it's right here, and I got it. And I'm thinking, this guy doesn't love animals, but does he?
He most surely does.
I was think he did, but...
And when his life changed forms and energy, he was okay with that.
Okay. Maybe a little from something from Steve right there.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Brenda, you got one question left in you today?
Well, do we have time for that?
He's going to allow it. Don't pay attention to him. I run this show here, so we're gonna do it my way today. So.
Today.
Yes. Tomorrow too?
Tomorrow.
Wow, I get tomorrow too. Did you hear that?
Too.
All right,
yes.
awesome. This one comes in from Sam in California, and thanks in advance, Sam, for the question. Says the following: I have made the decision to move out of the country and give up my American citizenship. In order to do so, I'm fed up with the government's lack of concern for its people and want no more to do with my birthplace. Yikes. Am I making a mistake? He asks first and then trails off to say, is there another life for me at this age? Which he does not disclose, of course. I have the means to live comfortably anywhere I choose, so I won't be seeking a position to support myself when I go. I look forward to your input and love your webcasts. All right, what would you have to say to Sam? Thanks again, by the way, for the question.
Well, he's carrying a cloud of negativity with him wherever he goes, which I see as actually being Costa Rica or southern part of the United States.
Central America?
Central.
Yeah,
Yes.
he said he was leaving the U.S. So.
Yeah, he will take it with him, and if he's really totally fed up, then he needs to clear that energy before he goes, or he'll take it with him. No, he's not going to make a mistake. Does he need to give up his American citizenship? That would be up to him. If he's totally fed up as he says he is, it won't take him long to be totally fed up where he's going.
Okay. Can I maybe just point out, and again, I don't know anything about immigration and naturalization from the inside, but Sam, you might want to think of this. I'm not sure that you can give back your citizenship. Can you?
You can.
You can?
You can. You
Okay.
can give up your American citizenship. You can give up your citizenship.
All right, I did not know that, so I learned
Absolutely.
something today on his behalf. Thank you, Sam. Okay.
Mhm.
I thought once you were born somewhere, that was it.
Yeah.
Like those military kids, you know, well, I'm from the U.S., but I was born in Austria, and they start bawling, and, you know, mothballs start coming out of their pockets and things, and Belgian chocolates follow them and things like that. So.
Where'd that come from?
I knew kids.
Okay.
Military kids. They were. I knew several of them actually were born somewhere else around the world. They didn't have a problem with it. I'm just razzing them. But okay, so you can actually
You
rescind
absolutely
your
can.
Americanism.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
People do it for income tax purposes.
Oh well, of course, there's that. But
Yes,
as a matter of principle, you can even do that.
of course. You do what you want.
Okay. A lot of people do, especially within the government. So thanks for the
Yeah.
question, Sam. All right, and we wish you the best. Remember, too, about that dark cloud you may be carrying with you that most airlines are charging for storage besides the overhead compartment, so they may nail you for that. if
You
they see
don't
it.
run from something. If you make a decision to change your life, then you change your life and you figure out why. And is it something that'll work for you? If it's not working for you now, it might not work for you there.
Well, I have to admit, too, Brenda, this is something my wife and I have talked about, leaving the country just to see what life is like somewhere else, thinking that maybe the grass is greener on the other side. And again, this is a program where we advocate that we love and respect everybody, but we are going to pick on certain people because we've chosen our place. I've chosen where I'm comfortable. Brenda's chosen where she's comfortable. So when we pass by a local complex that, you know, puts on shows, little reader board thing, and Larry the cable guy is playing not one, not two, 3 night worth of engagement, we were just thinking maybe it's time that we explored our options elsewhere. Again, not that we don't just think he's great for the people that do, but again, Brenda, I think we're seeking maybe something different. So I can understand Sam's frustration, I really can.
I have a friend who has lived abroad and knows a lot more than I do about it, and his comment is, why, if it's so bad, is everybody in the world wanting to either move to the United States or have their country become more like it?
Yeah. Well, we've had a good thing going here for quite a while.
I don't know.
I think we just need to remember a few things. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again for the question, Sam. You can get them to Brenda Burgett about anything that you'd like to as well. Go to the website, same website, 2 different ways to get there, bridgingthegaptv.com. I look at her and she's giving me this look like, I don't know, you're supposed to remember all this stuff. bridgingthegaptv.com, bridgingthegap with Brenda.com, or on YouTube it's Bridging the Gap on TV. Hopefully you're keeping all that straight, and again, hopefully you're enjoying the webcast. I know, Brenda, you and I are.
I'm having a really good time with this. It's great working with you.
And it's great working with you as well. So, until the next time,
See you then.
enjoy your existence. We'll talk to you next go around. So long.